Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Christ consciousness. Now, I want to cover the issue of dragons. Now, everybody likes dragons, and there's kind of a confusion here with dragon energies. And I've covered this somewhat, and of course, our internal training with our dragon products definitely talk about these issues as well. But dragons are very confused in terms of what are dragons. In the Western tradition, there's been a big confusion over this, labeling dragons. And of course, the European languages have actually confused this more as well. So there's been a confusion to think that dragons are evil. Now, in Asia, dragons are good, or at least most of them. And there's a lot of confusion by different traditions and everything else. What is a dragon? What is not? Well, we use even in the West, dragons, which have been equated with serpents and have been infected by the Christian understanding of these things and the evil serpents. Now, there's a difference between a serpent and a dragon. Now, this has been confused, and if you look at the ancient paintings, and even St. Michael slaying, and of course, what do they say? It's actually slaying the serpent is what St. Michael was shown doing there, not slaying the dragon. Now, this dragon has been confused. There's even a lizard, or basically what would be considered more of a serpent, called dragons. So, what is it? Now I forget their actual name of what they. But this is because they kind of look like dragons. Komodo dragons, which are fierce, relatively large lizards, basically. They certainly aren't dragons. So, there's also the term in the famous grimoire, the red dragon. Now, a red dragon basically is considered to be the devil. Red serpent is really what it means. Now, we have to understand the confusion between serpents and dragons. Also, when you look at St. George, who slayed the dragon, well, it really was slaying the serpent. And if you look at actual paintings of that, you can see what it is there is more of a Komodo-type dragon. It's a very large serpent, not a dragon, which are considered very large. So, dragons, as I said, of course, are in Asia, are positive, good things. If you see dragons, this usually means good luck. There's a lot of confusion between different traditions and how the East and the West look at things. And also how the West has distorted things going through its different religious systems. In the Asia, if you wear white, that's death. So when there's a funeral, the Asians wear white. When there's a funeral in the West, we wear black. So many, particularly motion picture producers who have made many films, producers that have made many films out there and have put everybody dressed in white, for one reason or another, the Asian extras have greatly objected to this. You're dressing us in death clothes. So this is very important. There was the bogus thing presented out there as well. Somebody was calling themselves the White Dragon Society, claiming to be based out of Asia, which would be totally bogus. But if they called themselves the Black Dragons, people would have a problem with that, thinking that was negative because black is negative. Well, of course, black really isn't negative. Black is black, but it is this particularly colors. Now, black is a combination of all colors, and white is a combination of no colors. Basically, white is not a color. But we have to understand the cultural differences here. But these cultural differences were distorted in the West. And they really weren't fighting dragons, they were fighting serpents. And the red serpent was considered the image of the serpentine Satan, who's been equated in Western mythology with the serpent who was evil in the garden, who perverted Adam and Eve. And this is carried on. And, basically lizards and snakes, to most people we've been put in our consciousness, have been put as a general negativity in our mind. We consider them evil and bad, and people are afraid of them. We consider snakes and things slimy, which they're really not. They're not slimy at all. Snakes are just basically all muscles. And there certainly isn't anything inherently evil about snakes either. Certainly, dragons have always been seen as the great figure of wisdom. They've been seen in these aspects of being very positive, even in the West. So don't let that confuse you. So it wasn't St. George slaying the dragon. It was St. George slaying the serpent who entered the Garden of Eden, the serpent who was a representative of Satan, and it wasn't the dragon. So it's very important to understand that dragons are very evolved, very higher species that choose to show themselves as dragons to this population and to move around easily instead of showing their more extraterrestrial looks to them, because these are very interdimensional beings, entities, very high knowledge, very great power. And in your life, what do they represent? Well, what does the dragon represent that we offer to people? We have dragon energy cells, we have dragon cups, and you want to take in dragon energy. Yes, dragon energy, not serpent energy. So dragons are very high consciousness entities. They're very wise. They're very powerful. They can go through dimensions. They can help you remove blockages in your life. They can empower you at a physical level. This is what the dragons that we offer there. And, we'd like to use the classical red-looking dragon because this is shown in particularly as a very powerful symbol of the interdimension. So the highest power of the dragon is the red dragon. But let's not get that confused with the very difficult European languages, which one word means many things. So the whole idea is that when the term dragon was used, like in particular grimoires and so forth, well, this has a very large term that it really means how you are using it. And it becomes in this big, giant problem with the European languages that are not only goofy in the fact that everything is male and female, so every word has a male or female attached to it for apparently no reason, because there isn't any rhyme or reason to it. It's not that it's necessarily something as masculine or feminine. It's just that they do that with everything. And all European languages do that. Some even have three. So there's male, female, and what do we call that? Neutral? So the whole idea is that these are the type of things that we have out there that we need. And this is very common in European religions, where you have to figure out the meaning of something based on how it is used in that particular sentence or paragraph. So these are very confusing ways in why non-English languages, and English in itself can be kind of confusing with words that mean the same, like bear naked, the bear in the woods. Well, this really sucks, even though they're spelled differently. But those kind of complications should be removed from the English language and cleaned up, including the way spellings are done. So PH meaning F. All these kind of things, but still it's the best language out there and the most succinct. Actually, English and Chinese are very similar because the word has a specific meaning as the character in Chinese has the specific meaning. That is not true in most other languages that I'm familiar with. Certainly not European languages, which means they use all sorts of terms. And people have heard things and think that these words mean something like that when it doesn't. And a lot of European languages are very descriptive. They'll describe a feeling or an action that is then interpreted for things out there. So this is the way they do things, and this is a real problem. So you can't take these things literally. This is the problem with translations and everything else. You have to be very skilled, but it's not the translation. All translations have to be looked at in their bigger picture. So you're not taking it word by word. While you do this to a degree, you're distorting things if that's. So you have to really use both under you. Take it word for word, and then you're going to have to modify it. And of course, how do you do that unless you really know the subject matter? So this is very difficult. So we need to understand that, and that's where that comes from. If you look at the drawings that were originally drawn with the Red Dragon Grimoire from hundreds of years ago, you can see that it's not really a dragon. It's a large serpent. You see what St. George fights. It's a serpent. You see what St. Michael slews. Again, it's really a serpent. It is just a large, ugly, looking serpent. It is not a dragon. Now, people may have changed these pictures over time, but originally these things were serpents. So understand there's the difference between dragons, these interdimensional beings that empower and help you, that are nothing but positive, and the serpent, which has been labeled as being a low-level evil spirit controlled by Satan, which is interesting, serpent and Satan, as two completely different things. So it's very important to understand the difference between dragon energy and serpent energy. And so there's a vast difference there. And as I've mentioned, the Asian traditions see dragons of mostly all types as very positive, and dragons are seen working within your life. And if you see a dragon, you've been blessed. And of course, colors, as I've just mentioned, are completely different. It's very interesting that the color for death throughout Asia is white. And the color for death in the West is black. The Black Death. So all of these things that we heard of that are completely different. You can also see how the human minds are so different and why people are so different when we get into our society and cultural structures. They are not similar. While we have similar needs in life, our cultural understanding of things are radically different. So we need to keep that in mind. So do keep that in mind. And of course, anything that Radionic Tech sells is not in any way connected to anything negative whatsoever. Nothing that we offer is negative based. We have some tools for justice, and these are very high. Some of the highest level of positive actions you can make is by doing things for pure justice, to rid the world of evil. So these are all the things that Radionic Tech stands for, and we don't offer any negative products, anything connected with those. And all of this has to be fully understood of what those types of things were, how things are presented, and you need to understand the context things are. People overlook this. They overlook the fact, well, when did this happen? The 1960s is quite different from the 2000s. The 1800s is different. The 1600s. So you've got to look at things, what was meant at that time? What is that at that time? So that's another thing you have to look at. And you have to look at the culture. So the whole idea is that you think you're doing a great deal for somebody, giving all these people this great white, pure clothing, when in Asia, white is death. So these are cultural differences that we have to take note of and understand, and understand what these energies are. Now, most people, particularly in the West, and I'm assuming Asians as well, love dragons. Everybody is fascinated by dragons, and they've been misunderstood, just like everything else out there, of what dragon energy is. And you also have to be careful of what dragon energy means to the person you're buying it from. So for me, when you buy our stuff, it's all empowered with very positive stuff, but you may buy a red dragon energy from someone else who considers it to be evil. So do define that and understand that. But of course, Radionic Tech only produces positive, healthful, good stuff to build your life, to empower it on every single level, and to protect yourself and take care of yourself in general. Nothing we offer is connect to anything evil or negative in any way whatsoever. So understand that. If people have any questions, of course, you are welcome to contact me. Go to the upper right, find our website, and you'll also find our contact information, and you can contact us directly. You can also find our contact information on the About page at the top there, and you can get email to contact us directly. So we're more than happy to answer questions, define things. If you have any concerns, if you're not sure of something, definitely contact us. We do know there's lots of toxic, evil products out there, and you have to be on the constant vigil so you don't pick up junk from people who have very nefarious intentions for the products that they make. Where are they coming from? People are very confused now, and they believe that they get empowerment from evil. I've heard some people talk in many things where, go into the darkness and draw the energy out of it. Well, this is what you do if you're drawing negative energy, and it's going to mess your life up. It's as simple as that. But, people want to be evil. It's intrinsic within their makeup, and you have to be on guard as a consumer and know, what is that company up to? Who are the people behind it? What do they believe? So, clarify things when you buy products. Ask them what this is connected to. Why are you using that term? So there is a importance to this, and a lot of people just don't care. Matter of fact, they think that your friends are demons, that the archangels and other ones are to actually stuck up to help you, and that you have to go to low-level demons who will work with you. This is the kind of thinking that's out there, which is faulty and dangerous, and you'll pay the price for it. Keep that in mind, and get things that empower yourself. Dragons are powerful, and they're a great energy to have around you. Until next time.